So for those of you who have been keeping track, I haven't uploaded anything to my channel in a while. And I kind of got a good excuse, as you can plainly see. But considering the circumstances, seeing as how I finally now got some downtime, considering there has been a zombie-esque viral outbreak in the real world, I can take this time and opportunity to talk to you guys about Dying Light. Now, a lot of the complaints I hear from Dying Light is, oh, it's just another zombie game, it's more of the same, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? You go into it knowing it's a zombie game. So because of that, I don't understand why these complaints are that, oh, it's another zombie game. So, that being said, let me go ahead and discuss with you more or less some of the good and bad points of what the game has to offer. Let me start with the game's development, as I feel this game has a good story as to how it came to be. Mirror's Edge and Dead Island met over the Deep Silver dating site. They began talking and eventually started dating. Romantic candlelit dinners and what have you. And a short time later, they ended up collaborating. And before you knew it, Dying Light was born. The best of both worlds between these two didn't last, unfortunately. Someone would always be coming home late at night. You know how that is. Then, before you knew it, the passion just wasn't there anymore, unfortunately. These days, Dead Island and Mirror's Edge don't see eye to eye anymore. And Dead Island has since begun seeing Spec Ops: The Line. Because of this, Dead Island 2 is currently in development. But Dying Light still visits with Dead Island on the weekends, so not all bad. And if that isn't accurate enough, I don't know what to tell you. You got the internet, you're on a computer or a mobile device, you look it up. Well, I guess I gotta change my story now.
Like I said, I'm not 100, I'm not 200, I'm 5,000%.
Andrew, you are not the father.
Subject, the stolen file. It details the incomplete process.
The outbreak, as you can guess, infects its host and converts them into zombies or reanimates a person's corpse, both of which are their own variances of zombies amongst others in the game. The entire city has been quarantined with a massive wall erected in order to isolate the zombie outbreak. You take the role of Kyle Crane and are parachuted into the city after being hired by the GRE, which stands for Global Relief Effort for those of you who are wondering, in order to reclaim some documents belonging to the GRE that have been taken by a former GRE operative named Kadir Suleiman, better known as Rise, who serves as the game's main protagonist. Crane lands in the city and is immediately confronted by Rise's henchmen. During the assault, Crane pulls a gun and shoots one of the men in the face. Immediately, virals begin showing up to the area, responding to the loud noise, and a fast-moving viral bites into Crane's arm. Subsequently, Amir and Jade show up to Crane's rescue by dispatching the zombie that attacked Crane and helping him to his feet to escape.
Come on, we have to move.
During the ensuing chaos, Amir holds off the zombie hordes in order to allow Jade to take Crane to safety, sacrificing himself in the process.
But I'm bringing in someone who might still survive.
One of us?
Crane slowly loses consciousness and awakes in the tower.
He blinked again! What if he's a zombie? Zombie! Run!
The tower is the main base, and the first safe haven that you will find in the game. This is where you meet most of the main characters in the game that are plot specific. Raheem, who gives you a tutorial on parkouring amongst other things.
You got the problem with my age?
No, You wanted to talk to me?
Jade, who has a supporting role to Crane throughout the main game.
And now we've lost the entire floor, including a couple of kids.
Brecken, who is in charge of the tower and organizing the efforts to the survival of the people and allies of the tower.
Over here. Just find out what this will cost us and come back in one piece.
Along with other NPCs that will enlist you to do side quests as well.
I'm not gonna bother learning your name till you've survived a few days, but here, this is for you.
There's several preliminary missions that you have to do for the prologue portion of the game, and during these missions you'll learn a little bit more about what's been taking place in the world of Dying Light. Crane meets with Dr. Zera to get a shot of antizin, which is a suppressant that the GRE has developed to keep the symptoms from the virus in check and prolong them, buying time for someone who's been bitten to keep them from turning all the sooner. So there's another faction of survivors led by a tyrannical psychopath known as Rise. He has his men recover supplies and antizin from airdrops that come in periodically in the early parts of the game. You can beat the bandits to the airdrops if you make it a priority to go straight to them once they come in. If you drag your feet though, chances are there's going to be a couple of ruffians there to contend with. Or, altogether, you might not even be able to get to the airdrop at all before it's completely stolen. Anyways, in the interest of helping out people in the tower, Crane volunteers to pick up an airdrop of antizin in place of Brecken. Now, this is basically a real long game, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is just give y'all the Cliff Note version of the plot, basically. Now, this is a spoiler warning, so if you're actually concerned about any kind of spoilers involving the plot and the story of Dying Light, you can go ahead and click the annotation on the screen, and it'll skip you ahead to the gameplay part of this video, which takes place after the plot points. Also, if you're on some sort of device that doesn't support annotations, i.e. mobile devices or what have you, you can manually scroll to the time that's shown on the screen, and it'll do the same thing. So, let's get into it. Crane goes to an airdrop. GRE instructs to destroy it in order to meet with Rise. Crane meets with Rise, confirms he's Suleiman.
Just met Rise. There's no question that's Suleiman.
Does some mafia-style money collection for protection for Rise to get some antizin for the tower.
Rise sent me, and that you owe him some money.
I've never seen you before. For all I know, you're just some random asshole. Fuck off.
I'll tell you what. How about I break both your legs and drag you through the streets back to Rice's place, huh?
Rise double-crosses him, only giving him 5 vials.
I will allow you this much.
You promised me 2 crates of it. This is only 5 vials.
Crane stops speaking with the GRE because they stopped sending him the airdrops.
Well, I'm afraid your request is out of the question in any case. Things have gotten a bit strained with the Ministry. Resuming the airdrops would not be politically advantageous at the moment.
While running around the city, Raheem radios into Crane about bombing a nest.
Hey, Crane, you there? Omar and I went to blow up that nest.
They argue and Crane hurries to where he was.
Fucking hell, Raheem, that was my job!
Oh, right, because you're more qualified to handle explosives than I am. You're just a goddamn tourist.
Alright, what happened? Where are you?
We're on the overpass and it's all going to shit.
Listen, head to the train yard. Find a place to hide. I'm on my way.
He finds Omar dead on the bridge and finds Raheem in the train yard.
Raheem!
Crane, I didn't think I'd make it, so I armed the bombs. They'll blow in less than 5 minutes.
Crane takes the bombs and blows up the nest, then returns to find Raheem has turned.
Oh, shit! No! It's me! It's me, kid! It's Crane! Oh, Jesus! Raheem!
Crane is forced to break his neck to put him down. Crane goes back and tells Brecken what happened, and Jade overhears, throws a fit, and storms off.
Jade, wait.
Jade, goddammit!
Just give her time. She needs to grieve.
Shortly after, the scientist Zera is kidnapped by Rise's men.
There's no one inside. They took Zera and drove away.
Crane tries to rescue him and gets caught by Rise.
It takes no more than a false hope of rescue to loosen the good doctor's lips.
Rise shows Crane that he stole the file that proves that the GRE wants to weaponize the virus instead of making a cure.
The GRE plans to weaponize the virus, not cure it. They're only interested in profit, not saving lives.
Crane manages to get away before getting executed and chops off Rise's hand in the process.
Come on, let's get you out of here.
Dr. Zera says that he gave all his research to Jade to give it to Dr. Camden. Crane speaks with the Defense Ministry, which is planning to bomb Haran to contain the virus. saying there's no survivors in the city.
Just hang on. You can't just carpet bomb this place. There are still hundreds of innocent people in here.
He manages to reactivate a radio tower and sends a message to the outside world to stop the bombing.
My name is Kyle Crane, and I'm sending this message from inside the Huron quarantine. Colonel Tanner and the Ministry of Defense have lied to you. There are still survivors inside the walls. They plan to firebomb Huron, but if those bombs drop, you will know Tanner and the Ministry are cold-blooded murderers.
Holy shit! There's someone alive in the quarantine zone? Hey, do you copy? Do you copy? It's Rodrin! I knew it!
That was too close.
Jade was captured by Rise and steals Zera's research.
Crane, Rise has taken Jade. He has her in some museum somewhere. Do you know what he's talking about?
Crane saves Jade and some of Zera's research, but finds that she's been bitten and asks Crane to stop Rise.
Just give me a second.
Sweet little Jade is far from fine, Crane. She was bitten and infected hours ago.
Jade turns.
Goodbye, Jade.
And Crane kills her.
Kill me.
No, I shouldn't. I should just leave you here to suffer. That's what you deserve.
Yes? Then why don't you?
Because you're not the kind of loose end you leave untied.
Crane kills Tahir and escapes, taking the tissue samples to Dr. Camden, who thinks it's very close to a cure but needs the rest of Dr. Zera's research.
Your trip here won't have been for nothing. Where's the rest of the data, by the way? I know Zara prepared 2 packages.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that, Doc. Right, Mr.
Rise made a deal to give the GRE the research in exchange for getting rescued from Huron.
Oh, no. I won't be going to hell. I will be leaving Arando, you see. I have made a deal with our GRE brothers.
Crane goes to Rise's building that's filled with zombies and his own henchmen that he killed off.
I knew you could not resist, Crane.
Oh, would you just shut up? You're the last thing I want to hear.
Crane, Rise said you would come.
You've been shot. What the fuck is going on?
This is what we get for trying to make a living. Rise betrayed us all.
And QTs him off the side of the building, stabbing him in the neck.
Is that for a decision, asshole? You need the cure. It's here, in the city, somewhere. And as long as it is, you won't try to pull any Ministry-style bullshit.
Crane, why do you even give a fuck what happens to these people? You don't belong here. This is just a job for you.
No, not anymore, it's not. I'll be in touch when I've decided what to do next.
Crane recovers the research and turns it into Dr. Camden instead of the GRE and stays in Huron to help the survivors, ending the game, leaving it open-ended, allowing for possibilities for a sequel.
Hello, Crane, can you hear me? It's Camden.
Dying Light was developed by Techland, the same people that made Dead Island, which is one of my favorite games in more recent years. So I'm going to make references from time to time as far as how the elements have translated to Dying Light, whether it be for the better or for the worse. Like I may have implied, the game is extremely reminiscent of Mirror's Edge, with a heavy emphasis on parkouring from a first-person perspective. As a matter of fact, the entirety of the game, from beginning to end, is seen from Kyle Crane's perspective, cutscenes and all. So, very much like Dead Island, Dying Light's primary means of combating the zombie threat is melee weapons. These weapons can be found throughout the open world of Huron by looting locked chests, trunks, cars, or by completing certain missions and being rewarded a weapon specifically. There are also firearms in the game as well. However, ammunition is scarce, and they tend to work better on human enemies as opposed to zombies. However, firearms as a whole are still better well-rounded for both kinds of enemies in Dying Light, and that wasn't the case in Dead Island. Firearms were virtually useless in Dead Island against zombies. Another one of the main hooks of the game is also the ability to modify weapons to make them better suited to fight against the zombie hordes. This is done by finding blueprints hidden throughout the game or received from completing certain side quests and missions. You're able to craft modified weapons, as well as other items such as medkits, throwing weapons, and flares on the fly, which is a welcome change for the most part from Dead Island, seeing as how any repairs or modifications were dedicated to being done only on workbenches in specific areas. Now, much like Dead Island, Dying Light is a game where your best bet of survival is picking your fights rather than killing off every single zombie you come across. This is due to the immense amount of zombies that are constantly lumbering about. However, in Dying Light, these numbers of on-screen zombies are staggering, and because of this, it was one of the majoring reasons Techland abandoned development on the previous generations of consoles, the PS3 and the Xbox 360, due to hardware limitations. It was a little bit of a bummer, hearing the announcement before the game's release, to hear the development was being stopped on the PS3 and 360, but I also immediately understood why this was, and I think the end result is a much better game than what it would have been otherwise because of this decision. You will level up as you progress through the game based on your actions. There are 3 different skill trees that you level up throughout your playthrough: Agility, Power, and Survival rank. Your Survival rank is leveled up through mostly doing story-based missions. Power leveling up is done through fighting zombies and other enemies in the game, and Agility is done by simply running and climbing about as you traverse the landscapes. Another thing I like that I feel is an improvement over Dead Island is that as you play, you'll be able to finish each skill tree, which wasn't the case in Dead Island. There were more nodes to fill up in Dead Island's skill tree than there were actual levels that you can grow, forcing you to make a decision on what you wanted to specialize in. It can be argued that this can help create varying experiences from player to player, which I can understand. But personally, it gives me a sense of restriction, in that I feel like I'll be missing out on something due to not being able to work my way to advancing myself to the fullest because of how the leveling is structured. So again, there are tremendous amounts of zombies roaming the streets and slums in the game. In some areas there could be dozens, even hundreds of zombies at a time on stream. It can be very overwhelming, which I feel is appropriate for the setting of a zombie apocalypse. Initially, zombies are very resilient and can take numerous hits before they're put down for good. But as you level up, you'll become more capable in handling most zombies appropriately. However, the difficulty balance in this game is good in that you can never get too comfortable because of the many varieties of enemies found throughout, whether they be humans or zombies. Other than the normal cannon fodder that is your standard biter zombies, you also have virals. These are the fast-moving zombies that the bodies of which never died and only just fully succumbed to the virus, which is why they have a much wider range of mobility. They are also extremely persistent, and because they are more capable of pursuing you, they can also scale structures in order to get at you.
3, 2, 1, go!
However, the advantage that you do have over them is since they are technically living hosts as opposed to corpses, they are much less resilient and therefore can't take as much punishment as a typical zombie. You also have goons, which are like thugs from Dead Island, except with cement blocks with reaver rods that they wield like sledgehammers. These enemies feel very uncreative though. There is very little variances with these zombies. Either they're in an orange jumpsuit, like they were from prison, or look like some grotesque Terminator. At least the thugs in Dead Island had more variation by comparison. There are also a type of zombies called toads. They are extremely weak and easy to dispatch up close.
1, 2, 3.
But they have ranged attacks, which is what the problem is with these guys. They lob balls of fluid that have an explosive blast radius that will hit you, as well as mess with your vision even if they land just near you. They're usually placed in higher areas above either a demolisher or a horde of zombies to provide support and to make life worse for you. Demolishers are big heavy type zombies that usually serve to guard an airdrop or seldom be a boss fight. The parallel of these guys to Dead Island could be the Rams, but in actuality they're too different. The Demolishers actually remind me more of the tanks from Left 4 Dead. They're fast, strong, and resilient. But you don't usually see these guys very often, seeing as how they're on the streets and never on the roofs. And I usually just avoid them because they're not worth the time to fight if you don't have to. Probably the most dangerous zombies are the volatiles. They only appear at night and are the end result of a mutation brought on by a host infected by the virus for a long period of time. They only come out at night and can't be exposed to UV lights, which are found in and around safe zones, along with UV flares that can be crafted and used after a certain point in the game. They are extremely fast, faster than Crane on foot. They are extremely aggressive, powerful, and can even scale buildings more quickly than Crane. Throughout the entirety of the game, they will always be a challenge to face in combat. Even towards the end of the game, with more powerful weapons and having had leveled up almost to max, facing more than just a few of these things will almost always mean death.
Hey there, bud. What's your name?
Kadeem.
Kadeem. I like that name.
It's cool to see games finally putting children in. It makes this reality of a zombie-infested nightmare all the more real, with the precious lives of young children at risk of succumbing to this horrific possibility of getting eaten alive or turning into a zombified monster.
Is that a child crying?
It has to be expected in a zombie outbreak, even children aren't exempt from such a fate in dying light. Baby zombies are something else. They're very off-putting the first time you see them, and for me personally, I didn't even know that they were in the game until I saw them for myself. What they do is start screaming at the top of their lungs. Typical, in order to attract more infected to the area and overwhelm you.
I didn't shut it up fast enough, shit.
You can run up on them and smother them to take them out, or you can shoot them or hit them with a throwing weapon to take them out at a distance to prevent them from screaming. Man. For some people, contending with these zombies can be tough if you have kids or little brothers or sisters. I have kids, and I'd be devastated if I had to face one of my children as a zombie. Kids, time to come in! It's bedtime, hurry up, let's go! Another zombie type that's in Dying Light are the bolters. A bolter is an ugly, blistery looking zombie that runs from you as soon as it sees you, hence the name bolter.
Another one, and it did the same thing.
I believe I have heard your colleagues talk about those creatures. Bolters, they call them.
Probably the first zombie in the history of zombie games to run away from you. Unless you count the fallen survivor zombie from Left 4 Dead 2. Haha! You thought I'd miss that one, huh? Yeah, I know my zombies. You have to collect samples of bolter tissue from it to give to Dr. Zera so he can make a cure.
Zera asked me to bring him a sample from that bolter I saw in front of the school. He said they'd been spotted in specific areas of the city, so I should focus my search in those places. He also said I needed to get that sample back to him while it was still fresh. So I gotta move.
Easier said than done. have certain areas where they can be found called feeding grounds, and like the volatiles, can only be encountered at night. I should mention that they're faster than you, so unless you could pull off some incredible parkouring skills during a foot chase, they're gonna get away. They're always surrounded by large numbers of volatiles, making it that much more difficult to kill one. Whether it sees you before you can kill it, or you actually do kill it, all the volatiles in the immediate area will be alerted and rush you. This definitely can make it tense when you absolutely have to recover bolt tissue from a bolter you just killed. Which, of course, being tense is a good thing in this game. There's a day and night cycle in Dying Light, and once the sun goes down and the night falls, there are definitely reasons to be scared of exploring. Volatiles come out only at night and are constantly patrolling. They can be seen when using your sonar ability, and you can see the erratically shaking yellow skeleton allowing you to see where the volatiles are. Despite the apparent dangers involved with going out at night, the incentive for doing so is that all the XP you procure is doubled, which can aid in leveling up much more quickly. However, when you die in this game, you will lose all the XP that you've earned since the last time you've leveled up, or something along those lines. I never really took the time to get the full grasp of exactly how it's incremented when you die. And seeing as how exploring during the night can lead to death much quicker given the extra dangers that come with it, it's definitely a well done risk versus reward scenario that does seem hard to replicate in other games. There's not only zombies in Dying Light. You also have human enemies, Rise's henchmen, that you come across from time to time as you explore. You can come across these guys when they usually get to an airdrop before you do, or ganging up on normal survivors, sometimes 3 to 1. To my surprise, they definitely aren't pushovers in the slightest. The first time I came across them, I ran in head first thinking it would be child's play. In Dead Island, you would come across punks and gangsters belonging to the Rascals gang, and they weren't very difficult to dispatch at all. However, Rise's henchmen are anything but. They will counter and parry almost every attack, making you really take your time, almost like a smart fight. It reminds me somewhat of chivalry, medieval warfare, trying to counter and strike in an opening. They're not impossible, of course, and guns work best against them. The best part is getting them into fights with virals and just kicking back to watch the show. You can really find more about people in a zombie apocalypse. I mean, who really cares what somebody has to say about you in the fall of civilization? That being said, there's a lot of weird and bizarre NPCs that you encounter in Dying Light, and you know what? It's actually one of my favorite aspects of the game.
Mama ain't happy. Nobody happy.
The Mother's Day mission introduces you to Ghazi. This guy is strange, but harmless.
Crane rhymes with train, and brain, and sane, and grain, and rain, and plane, and the other kind of plane, and...
Can I come in?
Crane rhymes with train, and brain, and sane, and grain, and rain, 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 and rain.
He sends Crane on a run to get chocolates and a movie for his mother in exchange for some anti-seizure medication for the tower.
Hello, Ghazi.
Shh! The movie is on. Mama's watching.
As you can tell, he's probably not all there. But if he's not hurting anybody, then it's cool.
Did you meet his mom?
Yeah, she seemed happy.
If Mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
Don't leave me here, please!
There's always random encounters that surface as you run around Haran. Even more elements of immersion that contribute to this living world. Babar is one of many random encounters, this one being an escort mission.
Listen to what I have to say.
Just calm down and tell me what's going on.
I am Babar Kizil, and I am the victim of...
He's an odd one, no doubt. He says that he's a lycanthrope.
A what?
A lycanthrope. A werewolf.
A werewolf, basically. I thought it was pronounced lichen, not lickin'.
Lycanthrope.
Licking a... It probably wouldn't be so strange, to be honest, considering the situation anyway. But the people in the camp that he stays with says he's crazy, and you don't need psychos when you got a zombie apocalypse. You got enough problems to deal with.
One of the survivors here, I think he's a goon. Also, they tell me I have to leave because I'm a crackpot. Tonight.
But at least he owns up to it.
Yeah, I'd prefer not to drag this one out.
Worms.
What are you doing out here?
Another guy who you have to protect is named Omar, whom you find outside of the tower looking for worms to go fishing.
I want to go fishing. I am Omar Boss.
With everything going on, zombies and monsters and whatnot, all he wants to do is go fishing.
Deal. Let's get moving.
Good.
You help him to go get his reel first. He pawned it before the outbreak, but says that since civilization is just an afterthought, which would normally send chills up most people's spines, he can get it back without paying for it.
Thanks to this epidemic and the total collapse of civil authority, I can get it back without having to pay for it. What good luck, yes?
Hurry up, Omar.
I know you're curious. I sold it.
Then you have to get his fishing rod. He sold it to a friend, but he's a zombie now, so fuck him.
So what does he need with it, huh?
It seems this epidemic's working out all right for you, Omar.
Hello, Rashan. I've come for my rod. You had better not damage it.
Once he gets his lure that his buddy wrote his name on...
Oh, no. He wrote his stupid name on it. I'll kill him.
You take him to his fishing spot. So, yeah, he's definitely up there with the strange ones.
I was going to pay you in fish, but when we were in the pawn shop, I saw this and thought you might want it instead. If you prefer fish, you will have to wait until I catch some.
I'll take this.
Okay. Farewell, my friend, and may the fish be with you, always.
This is the Fort Jefferson Tower, and you will address me as Commander Jeff.
Another weirdo amongst the NPC rankings of strange people in Dying Light is Gasman Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that too old? Is that too old for the internet now? What has it been? A month? Okay. All right. Internet memes. Okay. What about this?
Fuck bitches.
This guy is a trip, to say the least. He was way too ready to be the commander of something.
Jeff Land, or Jeffertown, or New Jeff City.
Look,
he takes over
Jeff.
some gas pipes to make his Fort Jefferson apocalypse wall of doom. Miracle! By doing this, he cuts off all of the gas that's going to all the other survivors in the city. Of course, your role as the gopher, you have to go reopen all the main valves to return the gas to the lines. Once that's taken care of, you can head back to report to Commander Jeff, so he can fire up the apocalypse wall. And it is quite the sight to see.
I think I should watch this from a distance.
If you insist, you got 10 seconds.
3, 2, 1. Ignition! Behold, the satanic inferno of the apocalypse wall!
Just do it!
What the hell was that?
My name is Jeff.
You know what really gives me the creeps? A lot of these people that you run into, it would kind of make sense that they were a little bit offbeat even before the outbreak. That in itself kind of gives me the creeps. What the hell? Dying Light feels very engrossing to me, and probably much more so than Dead Island to a lot of other people who have played the two. A lot of the reason for this is because of Kyle Crane himself. In Dead Island, you would take the role of one of 4 survivors that are immune to the viral outbreak on Benoit. Each character was engineered in a way that would provide a unique experience of gameplay for the others. However, this took away from the character development and interactions with the NPCs. Now, I personally never had an issue with how the protagonists would talk with the other survivors, but I did know right away that the dialogue was written in a certain format that all 4 characters can respond in their own way, but have the same meaning.
Will you help me?
I'll give her a shot.
Good.
Let's do it.
All set? Let's go.
Will you help me?
Okay, no worries.
Good.
This left a lot of the dialogue and writing in Dead Island very close-ended, which would result in mostly the characters that you would play as not having a lot of personality, making them feel kinda robotic. Those creepy blank looks on their face don't help very much either. The copy and paste replies and battle cries from the main characters in Dead Island is quickly noticed, and can easily put players at an arm's length. These shortcomings are made all the more apparent by comparing Dead Island's main characters to Kyle Crane of Dying Light.
How did he get a gun?
I'm sorry, Selma, I got it for him. He said he would use it to get both of you out.
La la la.
In the case of Kyle Crane, since he's the only protagonist of the game that you play as, the writers were able to be much more diverse and expressive with his lines of dialogue, and therefore it made him a much deeper character. He's endearing and has rapport with the people that he meets.
Rupert, I was downstairs.
Oh, I see.
I'm sorry, Rupert.
Sometimes in those noises, I think I can still hear a tiny trace of her voice.
But he's also assertive to a distinguishable degree in situations that warrant it.
Finish with the charges.
Raheem, do we have a deal?
I guess.
Do we have a deal?
Yes.
The people of the tower get distressed at the decreasing numbers of antizin and decide on meeting with Rise since he's been hoarding all the antizin that his men have recovered from airdrops.
Listen, mate, time's getting short. We're almost out of antizin. Much as I'd hate to admit it, I'm getting worried.
Rise is the former GRE agent that went rogue and has the file in his possession that Crane has been hired to retrieve on behalf of the GRE.
Your skills no longer come as a surprise, Crane. The GRE selects its operatives well.
Shit.
I like that Crane does get emotionally involved with the people of the tower, and it shows through his exchange with Rise, despite him doing it just for the sake of getting the stolen file for the GRE.
What? No, forget it, I'm not doing it.
I hear no conviction in your voice, Crane. You have not yet made your choice, I can tell. Will you be a dog and save the dwellers of the tower? Or will you be a man and save the maiden?
He does some errands for Rise, mostly just collecting protection money in a mafia-esque approach, putting on a fierce demeanor, and using the fear that Rise has come to be known for. Even though it's clear he doesn't feel comfortable forcing people into paying money to him for their protection. Even after receiving money from some people, he expresses his disdain for what he's done.
Okay, Kareem, I got Gersel's money. I fucking hate myself now, but I got the money.
The self-hatred fades eventually.
Another element of realism that I think brings Kyle Crane more to life is the fear in his breathing that you can hear when he's running from volatiles in the night. A small touch that goes a very long way. Now, given what I've said about Dying Light and Dead Island comparing their main characters, I'm not trying to bash on Dead Island. I want to make that absolutely clear. I've played through it multiple times, but I'm trying to be as objective as possible. Dead Island had quite a number of bugs and glitches peppered around the game that most people turned the other cheek for the game's sake, with it in mind that this would be remedied with a sequel. However, Dead Island Riptide didn't seem to make any relative attempt to do so. But with Dying Light, you could see this lineage of an ever-progressing and improving game developer, which makes me happy to see. Now, there is something that is a step backwards with Dying Light from Techland's predecessor, which may come as a surprise to some of you that have paid special attention to my praise of Dying Light in contrast to Dead Island. These aren't necessarily a big deal, but I do feel it is one of the things working against the immersion that the game tries so hard and typically does so well to make. The amount of miscellaneous items to find in Dying Light pales in comparison to what is in Dead Island. I don't have any hard numbers, but I definitely have a strong feeling that miscellaneous items to use for crafting are much less than in Dead Island. Blueprints also feel less creative in Dying Light compared to Dead Island. Dying Light is able to make modified weapons with combined elemental attributes rather than just one like in Dead Island. And that sounds really cool at first, but after playing through the game, there wasn't anything that felt like it had a particular advantage over something else. Fire-modded weapons were something I usually wielded in Dead Island for one reason more so than the other weapons, that being the fuming zombies, walkers that gave off fumes. They would get struck with a fire-modded weapon, one strike, and would ignite, killing them instantly. Most may see this as a minor, if not a non-existent issue, but because of some variables like this, it actually mattered what kind of weapon you had. Again, mods and weapons in Dying Light are cool, but I personally felt that Techland took a step backward with what they had at their disposal and fell short of what Dead Island had already established. Weapons don't feel varied or different enough amongst each other and come down only to aesthetic preference when deciding which ones you'll want to use the most. Dead Island can even do elemental mods to guns. Initially it felt kind of shallow, only because it just added slightly more damage, and could perhaps be improved on. But modding guns in Dying Light is non-existent, and with guns, what you see is what you get. There are upgrades that you can earn by completing missions, from my experience mostly from random encounters, called weapon mods that you can use to upgrade your weapons by adding damage, elemental attributes, i.e. toxic, bleeding, electricity, etc. They can also prolong the weapon's lifespan, seeing as how a weapon has only a set number of times it can be repaired before it can no longer effectively be used. However, these mods come full circle with the issue in that they don't vary the weapons very well amongst one another. Now, there are much more throwing weapons that are available in Dying Light that aren't in Dead Island, along with being able to throw your normal melee weapon on top of that. There are also riot shields too, but I almost never used these. And if there was a situation that could warrant the use of a shield, being on the offensive with a weapon was always a better option for me. So in that regard, these new additions can be very much either hit or miss, and for me, they were totally a miss. Another gripe I have about the game is about how loot is found. There's only so many containers, so to speak, that are lootable. You usually have a duffel bag, a wicker basket, toolbox, and that is usually the norm. Of course, there are more containers with items that can be found, but these that are mentioned are what become synonymous with searching for loot in Dying Light. In Dead Island, there were so many things. Duffel bags, briefcases, computers, copier machines, trash cans, lockers. There were so many things that after playing for so long, I was still coming across other things that could be searched for more loot that I didn't know could be due to the sheer amount of containers there are to search as a whole. One of the biggest appeals for me in Dead Island was looting. It was fun and I never grew tired of it. But after a while in Dying Light, it did feel a little cumbersome. Even on the corpses of the zombies, there was very little variances in the items that could be recovered for them. Either money, which is fine, but then it was mostly cigarettes or coffee otherwise. Sure, there were other things they would have on them, but only very rarely, and in the later half of the game I started to just look past looting dead zombies, oxymoron, because I wasn't worried from missing out on anything. Now, as far as the looting goes, there are containers, so to speak, that required you to lockpick them. And let me tell you, you have to lockpick everything. I thought it was very interesting initially, but it was definitely overused. There are levels of difficulty with each lock that you have to pick, ranging from very easy to very difficult. It's not very hard to get the hang of, and you'll get used to how to handle this interface pretty quick. Here's the biggest problem with this though. When you use your survivor sense to scan the area around you, there are diamond-shaped nodes of things that you can interact with, whether they be items, containers, or whatever. These are color-coded to represent rarity, much like in Dead Island or even Borderlands. You have different tiers of rarity, and each respective tier is supposed to be much better in comparison to the tiers beneath it. There's white, which is common, green, which is uncommon, blue, which is rare, not really, purple, which is exceptionally rare, orange, which looks like a cheddar kind of color, and is supposed to be legendary. And then there is the yellow color, which means gold tier, and the only one of those that I found is the EXP caliber. Now here's my complaint. Much unlike Dead Island, the colors don't really imply that a weapon is better in any way or even more rare. A lot of the color-coded weapons you find are in locked chests or containers appropriately. However, once you open these chests to find the weapon, you find that it really wasn't worth the time. Oftentimes you'll already be using a weapon that would be considered less rare and therefore less capable, but that's in the minority of cases. Basically what I'm saying is, for example, you can have a green or blue grade weapon, find a purple graded weapon, and it not be very much better than what you've already been using, and that's with mods and upgrades applied to that purple weapon in mind. And this happens all the time. Even when you use Survivor Sense and find an orange colored node in a locked vehicle or chest, when you open it, it's often revealed to be a miscellaneous item of value used to be sold for money instead of an exceptional weapon. It's almost always a disappointment to open a container with an orange node. So basically, it didn't feel like you were getting something as good as it was intended. Again, this was non-existent in Dead Island. The color tiers very much reflected the attributes that came with them when finding a weapon in Dead Island. Despite my complaints, those in themselves did very little to actually nerf my experience with Dying Light. The game is a lot of fun. I have over 50 hours clocked in on it as of this recording, and I'd probably do it again whenever I get a PS4 and a copy of Dying Light for that. I played the game entirely on the single player campaign, so I don't know if there are any differences with multiplayer. I prefer to play games like these on single player my first time through anyways, so. I did get a sense of fear in some parts of the game that may not have been if I was playing alongside others. And in case if you couldn't tell by this point, I've been playing on my computer, and I needed to beef it up to get it to run this game. I had to get a new graphics card, something I had been needing to do anyways, and a new power supply on top of that. Wasn't cheap, but I'm glad I made the investment, and a lot of that is because of Dying Light. The environments are very impressive, the particle effects, the graphics, everything is impressive and just eye-candy to look at. When running all the settings on max, I had the game running on an average of about 40 to 50 frames per second. Sometimes higher, never lower, unless I was recording. Here's my computer specs if you're interested in knowing what I got in my rig to see what hardware the game's running on. Bottom line, the game is a lot of fun. It's one of the best games I've played in a good long time, especially for what it is. It's a big improvement over Dead Island in most things. It still doesn't have some of the same novelty that Dead Island has, but as far as somewhat of a spiritual successor, considering there still is a Dead Island 2 in development, but from the same development team, again, it's an awesome game. It's a lot of fun. I mean, they put a lot of work into it. I paid $60 for my game as soon as it came out, and I don't usually do that. I'm usually the guy who waits for all the games to be thrown in the bargain bin. But, I mean, even at that, me spending $60 on this game brand new, it was really worth it. I didn't feel like I got ripped off, and I didn't feel like I should have waited for the price to go down. There's a lot of game to be had here, a ton of it. I mean, there's so many things you could find, so many places to search through. There's always rewards for actually exploring the environment to find out what there is in the world of Haran and Dying Light. I mean, there's a ton of Easter eggs. I mean, come on. Dancing zombies. Dancing zombies.
Let's just be real.
Let's just be honest. Let's just be real. Yeah, let's just be honest.
Let's just be real.
Let's just be honest. We all know the deal. So let's just be honest.
Oh, really? Damn it! Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you made it to this part of the video, then awesome, thank you. It's a long video, I know. I didn't start out that way, but I over-engineer, so. But yeah, you know, thanks for watching, and I mean, if you liked the video, go ahead and give it a like. If you have something you want to say, go ahead and leave a comment, and if you enjoy the kind of videos I make, then please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you know anybody else that would like to watch this video, go ahead and share it with them. Also, I got a Facebook, so yeah, if you want, you can go ahead and like me on Facebook. It's a good place to kind of, you know, you could make a request for a video, or you know, that you'd want me to review or what have you, and also to kind of follow along with the progression of any videos that I'm currently in the process making at the time. So again, I do have other videos, other reviews and stuff. I also do top 10s, amongst other things. So they're on the screen right now. You can go ahead and click on them. It'll open up another tab, so you can go ahead and check those out if you want. I also have a Let's Play channel. It kind of gives me an excuse to play games and kind of break away from the extensive video editing that I happen to do with my videos, which is fine, you know. But you know, like I said, it gives me an excuse to kind of play games. So you know, we sit down, we play games. You know what a Let's Play channel is. It's called A Game for Freddy, and it'll be in the description below. If there's a particular game you would like for me to play, you can go ahead and request it, whether it be in the comments or on Facebook. It's been showing a little bit of neglect because of all the time I've been putting in, but we're gonna be uploading again here real soon. So yeah, so go ahead, please check that out. Might get a couple laughs out of you. This video has been the biggest ever. It didn't start out like that, but I mean, you know, it's a video that I had a lot to say about, and this video took me a very long time to make. A very long time. There was a lot of changes that happened in my life. Nothing bad, just a lot of stuff that really kind of took away a lot of free time. Then that's basically the time I used to spend on making these videos. But again, also too, just the sheer length of the video itself was a big factor as to why it took so long. It took, this video, I gotta say, roughly took about 6 months to make. It's not like videos typically take that long to make. It's just this video, it turned into its own monster. So yeah, that's basically why it turned into its own monster. I ended up really trying to be really descriptive with my review. I try to hit all the things that I think are important. So. But the next video, it'll come out a lot sooner. I'm not gonna have another video not come out for like another 6+ months, believe me. So, fun fact, I actually started working on this video review before my previous video that I had uploaded to my channel, remembering SGC 2014. I've been working on this video since before that, so, but it was a lot of stuff. Work got involved. My wife and I, we had a baby girl, which isn't a bad thing. It just, it's just another one of those things that kind of, oh, well, I'm going to be a little bit more busy. So, but again, really what the biggest factor is just the video itself. It just evolved into this big, giant project. And I had a vision, and I did my best to see it through, so. But enough from me, enough rambling. Again, you guys, if you like my videos, please subscribe. It means a lot to me. It lets me know that my hard work, is actually, I'm getting, my trees are starting to bear fruit, so to speak, So, if you guys like it, it lets me know that my hard work isn't going to waste, and I'm actually making something that somebody else likes. And, it's a good feeling when I get something good out of it. If I get a good comment, something, positive reinforcement and what have you, it really does go a long way. And that I've been getting it with my other videos during the process of making this video, and that's just more motivation. So again, thanks a lot, and another video will be coming soon. So thanks again, you guys. Alright, go for it, you guys. That was horrible. Go do it again.